Reasons for this situation: possibly because the captain's situational awareness at this time was completely disrupted. The aircraft resumed flight into the clouds at night, and without external lights, the captain entered a state of delusion known as space illusion. An illusionary state: this is a kind of illusion in flight. It is an illusion caused by the loss of a reference point. When the pilot is deprived of an external frame of reference, it is difficult for the pilot to visually distinguish the flight status of the aircraft. At the same time, along with the spatial dispersion, there is also a change of gravity in the complex state of the aircraft. From forward gravity at the start of re-entry to reverse gravity during the dive, the captain's misjudgment of the aircraft's current state was exacerbated. The investigators also noted that, although the crew used the HGS system to maneuver the aircraft, but in this accident, the captain, who was under high pressure, may have misinterpreted uncommon images displayed on the HUD, and thus affected the correct judgment of the aircraft's attitude. The aircraft began to dive to a 40-degree lower attitude, to dive to the ground, avoiding broken mirrors. The warning system began to sound an alarm. However, at this point the aircraft's rate of descent reached 18. For this accident, the pilot's somatosensory illusion was not the most important factor in the accident. The investigation team concluded that the captain lacked the psychological preparation to perform a second resumption of flight after encountering wind shear during the first landing. The captain's inner, due to the company's recommendation to prioritize landing at the destination airport, and formed an emotional distress. After performing the second re-entry, the captain lost his leadership of the crew. His mental model of flying, failure to switch from landing to re-entry, the low-weight aircraft performed standard re-entry procedures, used maximum reasoning, caused the aircraft to generate excessive upward clearance. The captain's knowledge base and skills in manual screen operation and skills were inadequate, resulted in continuous downward horizontal adjustment to the ground. The aircraft entered a complex state, although the co-pilot kept reminding the captain that the aircraft was in a dangerous condition and pulled back on the pilot wheel during the dive, but due to the captain's continued mismanagement, the co-pilot was unable to save the plane. At the moment of the accident, the crew had been flying for 6 hours, converting from the time zone of the departure airport in Dubai. This is the worst time for human beings to be in the day/night routine. The pilot at this time, judgment of the current situation and decision-making ability will be significantly reduced, and the risk of making mistakes is greatly increased. Ultimately, the accident was classified as an in-flight loss of control. The Russian Intercontinental Aviation Committee made recommendations for safety improvements, which include increased manual handling training for Air Dubai to the manufacturer of HGS, Rockwell Klings, improvements to HUD display information to Boeing, the aircraft manufacturer, additions and corrections in the manual, explanation of horizontal stability surface adjustment, Adding 26 safety recommendations for aircraft at lower weight, 26 safety recommendations such as criteria for reducing reflight thrust.